We know sometimes those relationships get ugly, and sometimes it doesn't come out into the forefront the way this one has come out.
News that retroactively left us asking, what did Diddy say?
You're going to hear about my party. They're going to be shutting them down. They're going to probably be arrested.
The headlines exploded before anyone could verify the full story. A heated confrontation, a prison fight, and then one decision that could change everything for Sean Diddy Combs. According to multiple reports, what started as an alleged exchange of words inside a federal prison may have ended. With Diddy being removed from the general population and placed in solitary confinement. But was this simply a brief altercation that got out of control, or could it have much bigger consequences than anyone expected? For someone whose every move has dominated headlines for decades, even life behind bars hasn't escaped public attention. Every new report sparks another wave of questions, another flood of online theories, and another debate over what really happened. The incident is no different. While officials have remained tight-lipped, reports from unnamed sources have painted the picture of a confrontation that escalated in seconds before prison staff stepped in. What's making this story even more intriguing isn't just the alleged fight itself, it's what could come afterward. In the federal prison system, disciplinary actions can sometimes carry consequences far beyond a single day of punishment. Depending on the circumstances and the outcome of any internal review, incidents like this have the potential to affect privileges, housing assignments, and in some cases, earned sentence credits. At this point, however, no official announcement has confirmed whether this particular incident will have any impact on Diddy's projected release date. Meanwhile, the internet has done what it always does. Social media is overflowing with opinions, speculation, and dramatic claims. Some posts describe Diddy as standing his ground, others question whether the entire story is being exaggerated. And with prison officials refusing to discuss individual disciplinary matters, the lack of confirmed information has only fueled even more curiosity. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. The alleged fight may only be one small piece of a much larger picture. To understand why this incident has captured so much attention, you have to look beyond a single confrontation and examine everything that brought one of the biggest names in music from the heights of global fame to life inside a federal prison. Because once the full timeline is laid out from his rise as a business mogul to the courtroom battles, the conviction, and now this reported prison incident, the story becomes far more complicated than a simple headline suggests. And some of the details that emerged along the way continue to surprise even people who thought they had been following the case from the beginning. So what actually happened inside those prison walls? What do we know for certain? What remains unverified? What remains unverified? And could this latest incident change the next chapter of Diddy's future? The answers reveal a story that's far bigger than a single fight. And what happened next may be the most important part of all. Diddy had already been living under intense public scrutiny. But this latest report brought an entirely new level of attention to his time behind bars. According to multiple media reports citing unnamed sources, the incident unfolded inside the Federal Correctional Institution at Fort Dix in New Jersey. What reportedly began as a verbal exchange quickly escalated into a physical confrontation, catching the attention of both inmates and prison staff. The reports claim another inmate allegedly made a disrespectful remark toward Diddy. Instead of walking away, the situation reportedly intensified within moments. Witness accounts shared through media outlets suggest the two men began shoving each other. Before exchanging punches in what was described as a brief but intense scuffle. Prison officers reportedly responded almost immediately, separating the inmates before the altercation could become more serious. Although the confrontation was short-lived, the response from prison officials appears to have been swift. Multiple reports state that Diddy was removed from the area and placed in solitary confinement shortly afterward. Exactly how long he remained there has not been officially confirmed. And federal prison officials have declined to comment on any disciplinary action involving individual inmates, citing privacy and security policies. Dawned. That silence has only fueled even more speculation. Without an official act, social media quickly filled the gaps with theories ranging from claims that the fight was far worse than reported to suggestions that the punishment was simply standard procedure after any physical altercation. At this stage, none of those online claims have been verified, and many remain nothing more than speculation. What makes this incident stand out isn't necessarily the fight itself. Physical confrontations, while not common, can happen inside correctional facilities. What captured so much attention was the fact that the inmate involved was one of the most recognizable figures in the entertainment industry. Every reported detail instantly, with millions wondering whether this single moment could have lasting consequences for his future behind bars. And that's where the story becomes even more complicated. Because the alleged confrontation may have lasted only a few moments, but the possible fallout could stretch far beyond one afternoon inside prison. The real question isn't who threw the first punch, it's what happens after prison officials finish reviewing what took place. For many people, the words solitary confinement immediately bring to mind dramatic movie scenes, but the reality inside a federal prison is often far more procedural. When an inmate is reportedly involved in a physical altercation, prison officials may temporarily separate everyone involved while they investigate exactly what happened. That separation can serve several purposes, including preventing further conflict, protecting the inmates involved, and allowing staff to review witness statements and security footage. Aminja. In Diddy's case, multiple reports claim he was placed in solitary confinement shortly after the alleged fight. However, federal prison officials have not confirmed that report or discussed any disciplinary action related to him, specifically. In fact, the Bureau of Prisons has a long-standing policy of refusing to comment on individual inmate discipline, citing privacy, safety, and institutional security. That means many of the details circulating online remain unverified, even as they continue making headlines. What happens during this type of confinement can vary depending on the circumstances. Sometimes it's a temporary administrative measure while an investigation is underway. In other situations, it can become part of a formal disciplinary process if officials determine prison rules were violated. The exact outcome depends on the evidence reviewed by prison staff, not on social media speculation or anonymous online posts. Certain sparked countless debates. Some people believe the reported confinement signals that prison officials viewed the incident as especially serious. Others argue it may simply reflect standard protocol whenever a physical confrontation occurs, regardless of who was involved. At this point, neither interpretation has been officially confirmed, leaving plenty of unanswered questions. One reason this matters so much is that disciplinary findings inside a federal prison can sometimes affect more than an inmate's daily routine. Depending on the nature of the violation and the outcome of the disciplinary process, certain privileges may be restricted, housing assignments can change, and in some cases, earned sentence credits may be affected. As of now, however, there has been no official announcement indicating that Diddy's projected release date has changed because of this reported incident. The lack of confirmed information has only intensified public curiosity. Every new article, anonymous source, and social media post has added another layer to the story, making it increasingly difficult to separate verified facts from online speculation. And while the prison fight has dominated the latest headlines, an even bigger question soon began to emerge: could this single incident actually have long-term consequences for Diddy's future behind bars, or is the public reading too much into one brief confrontation? As soon as reports of the alleged prison fight surfaced, one question spread across social media faster than the story itself: could this incident actually keep Diddy behind bars longer? It's a dramatic possibility, but the real answer is more complicated than many headlines suggest. In the federal prison system, inmates may be eligible to earn time credits or good conduct credits By following institutional rules and maintaining good behavior, those credits can play a role in determining a projected release date. However, they aren't automatically lost because of a single reported incident. If a disciplinary issue arises, prison officials typically conduct an internal review before deciding whether any rules were violated, and so what consequences should follow. A blend. That's an important distinction because, despite widespread online speculation, no federal official has announced that Diddy's projected release date has changed, while some reports have suggested the alleged altercation could affect his earned credits if he were found responsible for a disciplinary violation. There has been no public confirmation that any such decision has been made. For now, claims that his sentence has already been extended remain just that, claims. And even so, the uncertainty has fueled endless debate. Some commentators argue that any physical confrontation inside a federal prison carries serious risks, while others believe the incident, if it happened as reported, may ultimately result in only temporary disciplinary measures. Without access to the prison's internal findings, the public is left piecing together information from media reports and anonymous sources rather than official records. The attention surrounding the story also reflects something much larger. Diddy isn't just another inmate serving a sentence. He's one of the most recognizable figures in entertainment. That means every reported development, no matter how small, instantly becomes national news. A brief altercation that might receive little attention, if it involved someone else, instead dominates headline, with millions trying to predict what happens next. Legal experts have also cautioned against jumping to conclusions. Prison disciplinary proceedings operate separately from criminal court cases, and they're governed by their own rules and procedures. The outcome of any internal review depends on the available evidence, staff reports, witness accounts, and prison policies, not on public opinion or viral social media posts. Until officials release additional information, if they ever do, much of the conversation will remain speculative. But while people continue debating whether this reported fight could affect Diddy's future, another says canning it. How did one of the music industry's most powerful and influential figures, not fart, end up serving time in federal prison in the first place? To understand why this latest headline has captured so much attention, we have to go back to the beginning of the legal battle that changed everything. And to understand why this reported prison incident attracted so much attention, you have to rewind several years. Long before the alleged altercation at Fort Dix, Diddy had built one of the most successful careers in the entertainment industry. As the founder of Bad Boy Records, he helped launch and shape the careers of some of hip-hop's biggest names while expanding his influence into fashion, television, spirits, and business. For decades, he represented the image of a self-made mogul, whose success seemed unstoppable. But behind that public image, legal troubles were beginning to grow. Over time, a series of civil lawsuits and public allegations brought intense scrutiny to his personal and professional life. Many of the claims made headlines around the world, sparking widespread debate online. It's important to note that civil allegations are not the same as criminal convictions, and many of the claims were disputed by Diddy and his legal team. Even so, the constant stream of headlines dramatically changed public perception. MDA's federal investigators continued their work. The case took another major turn. Authorities eventually leading to months of courtroom proceedings that were followed closely by both the media and the public. Every hearing generated new headlines, with supporters and critics offering completely different interpretations of the evidence as it unfolded. When the trial concluded, the jury delivered a mixed verdict. Diddy was convicted on transportation-related prostitution offenses, while he was acquitted of the most serious federal charges that prosecutors had pursued. The outcome surprised many legal analysts, as neither side walked away with a complete victory. Prosecutors secured convictions on some counts, while the defense successfully defeated others that carried far more severe potential penalties. Following the verdict, Diddy was sentenced to federal prison, marking one of the most dramatic falls from prominence the entertainment industry had seen in years. A man who had once appeared at award shows, major sporting events, and exclusive celebrity gatherings was now beginning a completely different chapter of his life, inside a correctional facility. The contrast between those two worlds only intensified public fascination with every new development. Dawned. Even after sentencing, however, the legal story didn't simply come to an end. Appeals, legal filings, and ongoing public discussions have continued to keep his name in the headlines. At the same time, social media has remained flooded with theories, rumors, and commentary, some based on verified facts, others built entirely on speculation. Separating those two has become increasingly difficult as every new report spreads across the internet within minutes. And that's exactly why the alleged prison fight became such a massive story. Almost overnight. It wasn't viewed as an isolated incident, it was seen as the latest chapter in an already extraordinary legal saga. But while court records tell one part of the story, the public conversation has taken on a life of its own, with rumors and online theories spreading faster than confirmed facts ever could. Within hours of the reports emerging, the story exploded across television, entertainment websites, YouTube channels, and nearly every major social media platform. A reported prison fight involving one of music's biggest names was exactly the kind of headline that spreads at lightning speed. But, as millions of people rushed to react, the line between confirmed information and online speculation quickly became blurred. One of the biggest rumors centered on how the altercation allegedly unfolded. Some social media users claimed Diddy had been targeted because of his celebrity status, while others suggested the confrontation was the result of long-standing tension inside the prison. At this point, however, there has been no official evidence supporting those claims. Reports indicate the disagreement may have started after an alleged verbal insult, but many of the dramatic stories circulating online remain unverified. Another topic dominating online conversations was whether Diddy had actually won the reported fight. Some outlets, citing anonymous sources, claimed he held his own before prison staff intervened. Others questioned whether those descriptions had been exaggerated to create more sensational headlines. Since no official footage or first-hand public statements have been released, it's impossible to independently verify exactly how the confrontation unfolded. Much of what people are discussing comes from unnamed sources, rather than confirmed government records. The media coverage has also highlighted just how different celebrity stories become compared to ordinary prison incidents. Every small update involving Diddy immediately turns into breaking news, while similar altercations involving unknown inmates rarely receive national attention. His name alone guarantees millions of clicks, creating an environment where every rumor, theory, or anonymous quote is analyzed from every possible angle. That has led to another wave of speculation about what might happen next. Some online commentators believe this reported incident could permanently damage Diddy's standing within the prison system. Others argue that the entire situation may ultimately prove to be far less significant than the headlines suggest. Without confirmation from prison officials, both perspectives remain opinions rather than established facts. At the same time, many fans have urged caution. They point out that federal authorities have consistently declined to discuss inmate-specific disciplinary matters, making it difficult to determine which reports accurately reflect what happened and which have grown through repetition on social media. High-profile celebrity cases, even a single anonymous claim can quickly evolve into dozens of articles, repeating the same information, making it appear more certain than it actually is. Perhaps the most fascinating part of this story isn't the fight itself. It's how quickly public perception forms in the absence of complete information. For Tassical, before official facts emerge, millions of people often reach their own conclusions based on headlines, short video clips, and in today's digital world, speculation can sometimes travel much faster than verified reporting. But, regardless of where the truth ultimately lands, one thing is certain: this latest incident has ensured that Diddy's legal saga remains firmly in the spotlight. And with questions still surrounding the reported altercation, many are now wondering what comes next for his time behind bars, for his legal future, and for the legacy of one of hip hop's most influential figures. With the reported altercation now making headlines around the world, attention has shifted from what allegedly happened to what could happen next. The biggest question isn't whether people are talking about the incident, it's whether prison officials will take any additional action beyond the reported placement in solitary confinement. At this stage, that answer remains unknown. Donned, if standard federal procedures are followed, prison staff would typically review the circumstances surrounding any reported physical confrontation. That process can include examining incident reports, speaking with staff members who responded, reviewing available surveillance footage, and determining whether prison regulations were violated. Those findings are handled internally, and in most cases, the details are never released to the public. Bans. If officials determine that disciplinary rules were broken, the consequences can vary depending on the severity of the incident and the inmate's institutional record. Potential outcomes may include changes to housing assignments, temporary loss of certain privileges, or, in some situations, adjustments to earned good conduct credits. However, as of now, there has been no official confirmation that Diddy's projected release date has changed or that any additional disciplinary penalties have been imposed beyond the reports already circulating. Long beyond the prison walls, Diddy's legal team is also expected to remain active. Like many high-profile federal cases, legal filings and appeals can continue long after sentencing. While an internal prison disciplinary matter would generally be separate from the criminal case itself, any significant developments could still attract widespread media attention because of Diddy's celebrity status. At the same time, public interest is unlikely to fade anytime soon. Every court filing, every reported update, and every statement from attorneys is almost certain to generate another wave of headlines. Supporters will continue arguing that many stories surrounding Diddy have been exaggerated, while critics will closely examine each new report for signs of further trouble. As with much of this case, the conversation will likely remain deeply divided. Another factor to watch is whether any new verified information about the reported prison fight eventually becomes public. So far, federal officials have maintained their policy of not commenting on inmate-specific disciplinary matters. Unless that changes, many of the details surrounding the incident may never be officially confirmed, leaving room for continued speculation and debate online. One thing, however, is beyond dispute: the image of Sean Diddy Combs has changed dramatically over the past few years. Once recognized primarily as a chart-topping producer, influential entrepreneur, and cultural icon, he is now at the center of one of the most closely followed legal stories in the entertainment world. The reported prison altercation has become another chapter in that ongoing narrative, but it is unlikely to be the final one. Whether this incident ultimately proves to be a minor disciplinary matter or something with longer term consequences will depend on facts that have not yet been made public. Until then, separating verified information from online speculation remains more important than ever. As new developments, they may answer some of today's biggest questions, but they could also raise entirely new ones. And in a story that has already taken so many unexpected turns, the next chapter may once again surprise everyone watching. What began as a report of a brief confrontation inside a federal prison has grown into yet another headline in one of the entertainment industry's most closely watched stories. While reports claim Diddy was involved in a physical altercation and later placed in solitary confinement, Many of the details remain unconfirmed because federal officials do not publicly discuss individual inmate disciplinary matters. That means separating verified facts from online speculation is more important than ever. MD, one thing is clear, though, every new development in Diddy's case is magnified because of who he is. A prison incident that might barely make local news under different circumstances has become international headline material, fueling debates across social media, television, and news outlets. As more people weigh in, rumors continue to spread alongside the facts, making it increasingly difficult to know exactly what happened behind those prison walls. Whether this reported fight has any lasting impact on Diddy's sentence or future inside the federal prison system remains to be seen. Until prison officials or court records provide additional verified information, much of the conversation will remain based on reports, anonymous sources, and public speculation rather than official confirmation. What makes this story so fascinating isn't just the alleged altercation itself, it's how dramatically one of music's most powerful figures has seen his life transformed. The journey from global superstar and business mogul to federal inmate has unfolded in front of millions of people, with every chapter attracting. This latest incident is simply another reminder that the story is still evolving. Lined as new information emerges, the picture may become clearer or it may raise even more questions. For now, the reported prison fight serves as another example of how quickly a single moment can dominate headlines when it involves one of the world's most recognizable celebrities. What do you think? Was this simply a routine prison incident that became major news because of Diddy's fame, or could it signal bigger developments still to come? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want more factual breakdowns of the biggest celebrity news stories, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next update.